1191, it's all about the delegates. Those are the Republican delegates. Senator John McCain has clinched the GOP nomination. But on the Democratic side, it is all about the delegates as well as we wait to call Texas. Joining us again with expert analysis, Susan Estrich, Rich Lowry, and now Democratic strategist Bob Beckel. Bob, I want to ask you about the late deciders in Texas, 61-38 according to the exit polls. Is it possible that that ad by Hillary Clinton had some effect on a lot of people that were swinging towards Obama?
Well, I think it did, and as I mentioned before, it was an ad that the same guy that created it for us in '84 against Gary Hart did it, Roy Spence did it for her in Texas. But I think more importantly is that, look, almost all these primaries, if you look at them, the late voters have broken for her anyway. But can I make a point about the momentum that Karl Rove talked about? Yeah. It is true she'll get some momentum out of this, but momentum for what? There's no place to go, and that's the sad thing from her standpoint. She's about to run into Wyoming caucuses and Mississippi, both of which Barack Obama will probably win. Then you've got 7 weeks where you've had all this momentum out of tonight, and it's got no place to go. Momentum needs to meet an election someplace. And the other thing I will tell you about superdelegates, where I disagree with Susan, is that superdelegates are by nature not profiles in courage. And you're going to start to hear, I believe, I think you're going to start to hear here very shortly that there is now, we've got a ticket here. What's the best thing for a superdelegate to do is to get both of them. And the question is who's going to be on the top, who's going to be second. I happen to think it's going to be Obama and Clinton, but you're going to find at this stage of the game they both put too much into this. They got too much momentum behind them. You simply can't say, okay, now I'm bringing Strickland in from Ohio. It's not going to happen. You're looking at the ticket.
Right, but Bob, you know, there are going to be some, especially in the Clinton campaign, who say this raises significant questions about Obama's staying power. He outspent the Clinton campaign 4-1 something in these ads in all of these states. I mean, doesn't that narrative hold, at least on the short term, before you get to the math of the delegates?
Well, it does hold in the short term, but that's the point. You just made it, short term. What it doesn't do is get you into Pennsylvania when nobody's going to really much care about that. And let's remember, early on, Hillary Clinton was spending a lot more money than he was. So it's not, you know, you can always say these things, but the thing that worries me about the instant analysis of these things, you got to let the dust settle here a little bit. It's probably likely that she's not going to gain any more than 18 to 26 delegates tonight. Now, you know, she's had a couple of good wins, no question about it. I give her a lot of credit for coming back, but it still is a delegate game, and the momentum she's generated has no place to go because we got 7 weeks to the next big contest.
Susan,
and there's
I heard you laughing there.
There's only 600 delegates left.
But Bob and I both have worked this superdelegate game. I mean, the two of us have actually done this, and he's right. They're not profiles in courage. And because they're not profiles in courage, the easiest thing to do is what many of them are doing, which is to say nothing. I mean, if you're not committed yet, there is nothing about tonight that would convince you that today is the day to jump to Obama, or for that matter, jump to Clinton. You just sit and wait. And that allows the delegate math to not work until we get past Pennsylvania. And she's got Ed Rendell. She's got a good organization in Pennsylvania. She could easily win Pennsylvania.
You're exactly right about that, except there's going to come a point here where the one thing we know nobody wants to do in the Democratic Party is to go to Denver for a fight. And so there's going to have to be some decisions made here. And I think what I'm saying is they're not going to jump to Obama or jump to Clinton, but what they're going to start to say is, look, they've both done very well, and demographically, they each have now established what their demographics are. All those demographics are necessary for the Democrats to win a general election. Why not put the two of them together?
Rich, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I think most Democrats would like that.
Yeah, well, you know,
I agree.
You can see what Barack Obama's argument is to the superdelegates is quite intuitive, which is, look, I'm ahead in the pledged delegates. It's going to be very hard, basically impossible, I guess, if you run the math, for Hillary to catch up and pledge delegates by the end of this thing. And I'm ahead in the overall popular vote because, again, it's going to be very difficult or impossible for Hillary to catch up in the popular vote. So what moral claim, as someone put it the other day, does Hillary have on the superdelegates? I think it would have to depend on a real kind of Obama collapse. That, you know, tonight's not a great night for him, but nothing that we've seen so far suggests he's going to fold like a souffle.
So, Bob, how does it play tomorrow? How did the campaigns, each of them, come out and spin this whole thing?
Well, the way they spin it is, first of all, this is a game of expectations, and her expectations were very low, and she did very well against those expectations, so they'll have a lot to brag about. But again, I make my point, brag about it to go where. And what Obama's going to do is, when all is said and done in Texas tonight, when all these people finally get to caucus at 4 o'clock in the morning, look, the reason Obama won the early vote, you know, that's an indication of an organizer. These are organized campaign. His organized campaign, they got their people out to vote early. You saw that. And then on Election Day, she did quite well. But in the caucuses, I'm almost certain that he's going to do extremely well in delegates. And tomorrow he's going to say, as Rich said, look, it may not be 28 delegates. It may be only 15 difference. Look, here's the big enchilada with 340 delegates. Nothing moved, and we've only got 600 delegates left to go. She can't catch me either in popular vote or delegates. Let's get going and get this thing over with.
I want to talk about what's going on. We are close to making a call in Texas. It is getting very close, although the caucuses are still continuing in some places. Some places are seeing lines, we're told, going out the door, and they had some problems getting started. Susan, when you look at this process, it seems like it is a mess there in Texas, but eventually they're going to get there.
Yeah, it seems like only an idiot could come up with a process like this. And, you know, so you're looking at an idiot. I mean, folks like Beckel and I wrote the rules for the Democratic Party. I don't know what drugs we were taking at the time, but I wish I had them right now. It's a loony process. I mean, it really is. And, you know, vote early, vote often used to be only in Illinois. Now it's in Texas as well.